Welcome to Elmhurst, our community. We're here at the Community Bank of Elmhurst in the business zone. I'm Ken Bartels, your host. As consumers, we live in a complex world filled with dangers and things that we sometimes don't completely understand how to operate and navigate. In banking, that's true too, and we're going to talk about some specific consumer dangers in the world of banking. And I have two colleagues with me from the Community Bank of Elmhurst, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you.
I'm Nancy Brook. I am a Senior Vice President of Operations here at Community Bank of Elmhurst. I've been in banking for 48 years, and I've been here since the beginning of Community Bank of Elmhurst, and that was May of 1993.
Hello, my name is Aggie Castanares. I have been with CBE for 2.5 years. I'm currently a universal banker, so my duties are split between the teller area as well as the banker side. I do things as simple as deposits, withdrawals, and then moving on to the banker side would be a little bit more complex, such as cashier's checks, opening accounts, dealing with debit cards, and of course, fraud.
So, generally speaking, both of you, in your experience day-to-day dealing with customers, how common is it for people to come in with concerns about three things we're going to cover today: check fraud, problems with credit or debit cards, and then identity theft? How often do we see these things at the community bank?
It is a large part of today's banking because of mobile banking and online banking, debit card fraud, identity theft. So we do see it quite often, much more these days, and they do come to the bank when we have a fraud alert when debit cards are compromised, and they do come to the bank if there's check fraud. So it does seem to be quite a bit of our weekly tasks dealing with fraud.
So if a customer calls or a customer comes in and believes that they've been a victim of check fraud, what are the next steps that you handle with them?
Well, each situation is unique. First, what we want to do is establish what transactions are fraud. We sit down with our customer. Once that's established and verified, we would open up a new account, we'd cancel the old cards, issue new ones, and then we also fill out the affidavits and start the whole process.
So how does one perpetrate check fraud? You hear about washing of checks, just simply people who get a hold of blank checks in some way or fashion. Are there more common ways that check fraud happens than not?
A lot we feel is through mail theft. They take the checks, they can whitewash, which is where they keep the check, the original check that would be on our bank, and keep the customer's name, and then they would just whitewash the payee and possibly whitewash the dollar amount. And then they would go elsewhere to open an account, deposit the check, and hopefully get the funds before our customer and the bank have realized that it's fraud. It's a fictitious check.
Yeah. Is there, who's liable for check fraud? Is the consumer ultimately liable for a bad check?
No, they wouldn't be. We would take care of all that as far as the fees and the transactions themselves, but we do encourage our customers to come in within 60 days of receiving their statements.
Okay. So once again, we all know customers who don't do a great job of balancing checkbooks and
Yes.
keeping track of things, and so the longer something like that sits out in the larger community, the more serious it probably becomes.
Yes.
Because there's vendors on the other end that aren't getting paid.
Correct.
So, okay.
Yes.
Credit cards, debit cards. True or not true, a credit card safer than a debit card?
Well, a debit card gives them access to your account, and even though the customer will not lose the money, it does drain their account quicker, and that might call to their attention when they go to get cash that they have no money left because their debit card has been compromised and fraudulent transactions have helped. So credit card companies, we encourage that for them to use that because they're not into their bank account.
Yeah, and I know the credit card companies have been pretty proactive in terms of this charge doesn't look like something
Correct.
you normally do.
Right.
Is it you?
Right, and which our fraud department has been doing also. They alert them by text or an email to say, we have this charge coming through, respond yes if it's you, no if it's not, and then contact the bank. And more than likely they will contact the bank right away before they even answer because they want to make sure that that's not a scam too.
So how does one protect a debit card?
If a customer loses their card, first thing they should do is call us and report it that has been lost or stolen and compromised in some way. Again, we would verify the transactions with them to make sure they're not fraudulent, because sometimes it's indeed them, they just might not remember. And again, if it is fraud, we would close out the card and issue a new one. We could do that at any of our branches, or we could do it over the phone and send it to their address of record.
The credit card and debit card fraud folks are pretty sophisticated in terms of technology and the way they access the cards. It's almost like a sci-fi or a spy movie.
Right.
It's
right.
like all of a sudden they've got access.
Right. And also with online shopping, that's where a lot of fraud takes place, and we'll have a customer say, well, I just bought it one time, but they're not reading that fine print, and their information may be sold.
They just signed up for 3 months
Correct.
of payments.
Correct.
Or got a subscription on the side.
Yes, and that's another reason why to use a credit card, because when it's your debit card, it's coming out of your account, your
Sure.
operating daily funds.
I can remember not that many years ago that it was pretty unusual for people to use credit cards at grocery stores and fast food restaurants, and now it seems like everybody is pulling out their credit card, their debit card, their Venmos, their fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. Are our customers typical of are our customers doing all that?
They do. We do encourage them to use the credit card versus a debit card because, like Nancy said, it takes directly from their account versus not their money. I mean, it's the company's money if they're using a credit card. So it's easier, I think, versus depleting your account.
Mm-hmm.
I know we do a great job when we open accounts in explaining these things to customers, but at the end of the day, do you think customers really understand the threats that are involved, particularly with debit cards? I'll give you an example. I had an acquaintance who had a debit card, mm-hmm. and this gentleman has real problems remembering PIN numbers. Mm-hmm. So he wrote the PIN number on his debit card. And then wondered when he lost it why the money went away so fast.
Yes.
Do you think they understand it?
I don't think they realize how dangerous it is to be flippant about leaving their debit card out on the table, holding it out at a checkout line, especially with, there's been in the news where the hackers and scammers are walking around with phones and they can just easily go buy one and pick up all the information. So we do try to tell them, to protect this,
it's cash.
It's cash, exactly.
Yeah, okay. We're going to come back and spend some time on identity theft, which is a whole different situation.
Correct.
But we will be back in just a bit.
Okay.
This is Elmhurst, our community. We're here at the community bank, and we're talking about consumer dangers, things consumers need to be aware of in the world of banking. We'll be right back.
My name is Rich Reichert. I'm president and CEO of Community Bank of Elmhurst. We are a community bank located in Elmhurst, Illinois. We have 2 locations.
Community Bank was created because there was a need in the community for personal banking. We joined the Chamber in 1993 when the bank was formed.
And we were a member of the Chamber of Commerce on the day we opened. Our business is unique because we value our customers and our community first.
We exist for our customers, and we know that what their needs are what we need to provide.
The best part of being a member of the Elmhurst Chamber is getting to know the people who run the businesses here in town and make this town as great as it is.
The Elmhurst Chamber is the prominent business organization in Elmhurst.
The bank and the Elmhurst Chamber work together.
We're based in Elmhurst. We serve Elmhurst.
We know Elmhurst. We are Elmhurst.
We care about this town.
Welcome back to Elmhurst, our community. I'm talking with Nancy and Aggie about dangers that consumers need to be aware of in the world of banking. We talked about check fraud, we talked about debit cards and credit cards. The big issue these days, and you hear about it all the time, is identity theft. So the first thing I'd like both of you to do is, what exactly is identity theft?
So the way we would identify it is that identity theft is when someone uses your personal information for their financial gain. That could be a grave thing for a person because at that point, once they have your identity, they're able to establish credit cards, unauthorized purchases, and sometimes even take out a loan.
And I know that identity theft has multiple ways in which it can manifest itself. And some of the ways that I'm aware of, and I'm not an online officer at the bank with these things as the two of you are, but something called a sweetheart scam, where someone, an older customer comes in with a younger person. Maybe it isn't that way. Maybe it's the reverse sometimes too, but there's an influencer involved.
Correct.
Another one would be someone that's taking advantage of someone who maybe just isn't as with it as they used to be. And another would be the whole notion of somehow or another they've captured key components of someone's identity. Are there other forms? Am I missing anything?
Well, it would be stealing mail. So that's important. We encourage online banking for debit cards and credit cards as well. Shredding your information is very important. Also, what we do here at the bank is when we establish an account for a customer, we ask them to pick a identification code that's specific to them only. So when they do call over the phone, we don't ask them just typical last 4 numbers of their social or mother's maiden name. We ask them that identification code, which is kind of helpful. It's like another layer of protection.
So I walk into the bank and I sit down at one of your desks and share with you that I believe I'm a victim of identity theft. What are you going to do for me?
Well, first of all, we will review your account, and then close your account if there's been, even if there is not
evidence.
any fraud or any evidence of money leaving the bank. We will close it for sure, because we don't want them to have that information of where you bank. Then we will have you contact the 3 major credit bureaus, and those are Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax. This will alert them that if somebody is going to get credit with your information, it will stop them. You'll put a freeze on your credit, and then that will not allow them to go any further, because most banks will run a credit, it's called through check systems, and that will come up if you've been a victim of identity theft. We do ask you to report the theft to the Federal Trade Commission at identitytheft.gov, and they will help you with a recovery plan. It is very intends to get your identity back. It is to your benefit, though, to freeze your credit. But each time you do want to do something legitimately, you'll have to make contact, unfreeze your credit so that you can do the transaction, and then you would probably want to freeze it until you are past the period of getting your identity back. And then, of course, file a police report with your local law enforcement.
I was just going to say, the local law enforcement.
Yeah, it's additional documentation for you that will help you when you do go somewhere and they may not want to continue with you because of the identity theft. At least you have a police report to let them know that, this is something you're working through and you need to start up.
With all of the last several years, probably a lot more than several, maybe the last 10 years, the number of high-profile data breaches, including data breaches from some of the largest consumer agencies in the country, the likelihood of any one of our Social Security numbers or other personal information floating around in the internet
Correct.
is pretty high.
Yes.
So you mentioned freezing your credit with the three major credit agencies. It strikes me, at least from my perspective, that the only negative to that is if you legitimately are wanting to, get out, take a car loan or what other, you have to go and unfreeze.
Correct.
Do you have to unfreeze all three to take out a loan?
I believe it should just be one. They should all work together. In fact, you can just tell one credit company, and they will spread the word, so to say.
Okay, because I know you have to physically go to all three sites to freeze
Correct.
each one.
Yes.
But,
yes.
yeah.
But there have been some of them say that just dealing with one, and they will spread it'll be on your record.
Is that the only downside to freezing your credit? Because it seems like that would be a pretty simple and straightforward thing to do.
Yes, I think freezing it, and then your Social Security number, and making sure that your credit cards, they haven't been opened up in your name. You should make sure on the credit cards you have that those haven't been compromised also.
Sure.
And but the TransUnion and the other companies, that should stop any credit cards being opened.
Okay. So, Aggie, you mentioned shredding. How important is shredding?
Shredding information is very important, whether it's financial or personal. I mean, once they obtain your Social Security number, your medical records, sometimes your child's information, you want to make sure that that's all shredded and no one can get to it. Because like I said before, if they are able to steal your identity, they are able to open accounts, get loans in your name and whatnot. So I would say shredding is very beneficial, and there are places that they can go to. I think UPS and maybe Staples has those options where you can go and shred your information.
Well, and the everyday shredding, I know we've got a shredder and whatnot, and as long as you're not needing to shred, 3 garbage bags full of stuff,
yes.
It can be done. I think, once again, though, I go back to how safe can we really be when all this information has been, if you will, exposed or leaked or compromised? When people come in and share with you, sometimes they're very heart-wrenching stories of identity theft. It just seems like it could pretty much happen to any one of us.
Yes,
It can.
it is. We really try to tell our customers to just keep all their things confidential, keep them in a safe place, don't share your information with anyone, even if you're suspicious of family members, or just make sure that you keep especially your Social Security number, keep that safe.
I think it's also important to be vigilant of your accounts, checking everything online, making sure they're your transactions, not balancing your account for 2-3 months and then, coming to the bank. So
We do
yeah,
have
looking
some
at
people.
that.
Did something in June and
Correct.
September.
Yes.
Correct, which has happened.
Sure. Well, I know the number of people that I know that just assume that their credit cards, what's there is legit,
Right.
and
Right.
not looking at, as you say, return charges or charges they don't recognize, or the online shopping, which is notorious. All it says is Amazon, or all it says is UPS, or what. It doesn't say anything else
Right.
other than the date, and it's like, okay, what was that exactly?
Yes, keep your receipts. Don't leave your receipts. They used to say when you would go to a restaurant, make sure if the waitress or waiter goes to the back room and takes your card with you, make sure you get your receipt and even ask for carbon. And then it also, I think we forgot to mention about at gas stations where skimmers are put up.
Yes.
Then they can read your card numbers. So you really have to pay attention to your accounts and not wait 2 or 3 months to check on your transactions.
Are there any other consumer dangers that we haven't covered that you encounter?
I think.
I mean, I know as a highly personalized individual service bank, if someone comes in with their checkbook, we'll help them balance it.
Correct.
I know that, and I would guess the same thing would happen with credit cards. And I know people can call in and go through online banking, but there are other issues that we run into.
I don't know. It's just usually something they don't recognize that has shown up, and we have to do a little digging, and they have to do a little remembering also of if it's something they've signed up for and forgot.
Last question before we end our time together. Credit scores. Do consumers, the two of you, do you think consumers understand credit scores and what they mean and what they don't mean?
I think our customers are pretty savvy in that. Yeah, I do.
I do too.
Yeah, because they often mention that especially when they're applying for a loan or whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're vigilant with our customers and try to help them out whenever we can, but it is a nervous time with all the technology, and it seems like the scammers are always one step ahead of the
It does seem like
solutions,
that.
and then you find the solution, and
They're on to the next.
and they find some new quirk.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
but thank you both for what you do for Community Bank and for our customers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. This has been Elmhurst, our community. I'm Ken Bartels, and we will see you again. This is the Community Bank of Elmhurst. We've been in business since 1993. 2 locations, Butterfield Road and right here, downtown City Center. We were the original community bank in Elmhurst. It was started as a response to community need for more personal banking. We're not a big bank, but we're a highly personalized one. The 4U sign behind me demonstrates the fact that that's what we exist for. Our customers and community first. What makes our business unique is that we look at every individual as a person, as someone who we want to get to know and get to know better. People come into this bank, they're greeted by their first name or their preferred name because we know them, and we've known them, many of them, for a very long time. The best thing about running a small business in Elmhurst is the opportunity to know your customers.